Hey Hodies, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we're just doing a let's play with makeup. I have only new things for the eyes, but everything else I tried to find things that I haven't used in like a relatively long time. That's the game plan. If you are new to my channel, hello and welcome. My channel is all about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, and when I do decide to bring things into my collection, I try to make quality decisions, the best decision that I can, trying to only buy things that I know I will get a lot of use out of or that will add to my collection. So if you're into that kind of content, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video before you leave it, and I'm also on patreon.com if you'd like to support me there. Full disclosure, I'm a little sleepy today. It's been rainy the past handful of days here in Pittsburgh. I know that many people don't know this, but like Seattle and Pittsburgh basically have the same amount of sunny days a year. And that was something I learned as an adult, by the way. I just was like, this is what seasons are like. But apparently we have it pretty sad here in Pittsburgh. I've just been feeling a little bit lazy, but I'm not in a bad mood. I'm just a little sleepy. Before we get started with anything, I need to do some skin prep. I just washed my face. I just finished working out and took a shower, and I didn't want to do nighttime skincare because I was going to put makeup on. I am going to throw on the Rituel Thorn Oil while I'm doing my eye makeup to just like get the skin plump and ready for some makeup, because I just think my skin wouldn't like it if I just started putting makeup on it in the raw state of affairs it's currently in. And I mean, I could have thrown on moisturizer, but I knew I was coming down here and I was going to throw on some thorn oil. I think I'm going to do more drops than I usually do. I am using a new cleanser. I'm using this new cleanser from Dermalogica, and I really like it. It's like their skin surfacing cleanser. It just has a lot of acids in it, so that's what's doing the exfoliation. It's like really weird because I feel like I'm using it really fast, and the formula is really thick, so you have to push the pump all the way down, and it doesn't lather, so I feel like if I didn't get a full pump, I might feel like my face isn't getting clean. I really like it. I don't know if I'd buy it again. That's where I'm at on that. But I also have been using the Dermalogica makeup removing oil, and I really like that. Would I buy it for the price that it is? No, but I have a pro discount through Dermalogica, so that is my skirt through the system. And then I'm also gonna throw on some lip balm real quick. So for the eyes today, again, I want to show you the Makeup by Mario. We'll only be using mattes from here today because, as I said in my budget video, I bought another Hypnotising pop shot, and I bought the shade Cosmic Rocks, which is the blue one that has a flip. So in my mirror, you should be able to see the flip. Hopefully. I love a duochrome. Do I probably have something like this in my collection? Yes, but I think we learned from me with the other pop shot that I really kind of like the ease of use of these, and I like the way that they break down on the eyes. So that's a me thing. You don't have to like that, but that's what I'm gonna plan on using. So I think for the mattes today, I think I'm gonna use the pink and this taupe shade. And I might just leave it there as far as that goes. I'm gonna be using the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. I have been liking it. Here's kind of how I test eyeshadow primers. What I needed to do is, now I don't suggest working out in makeup, and nor do I work out in makeup in public, but to test eyeshadow primers, I really like to do like a really basic eyeshadow look and see if it will hold mattes and satins through a workout. It's passing the test. It's kind of performing just like the Air Atelier. It's not the same consistency as the Air Atelier, which is like the last eyeshadow primer I had. I think I like it enough to see it through. I think that's where we are on that. I do have a question for you. Since this is a Let's Play with Makeup, and maybe not everyone clicks on these because they're not like my most popular video format. My question to you is, I got the Retro Glam palette, and I am excited to see it, and I am excited to try it, but I also am well aware that I am like the last person who's getting it. I bought it on the last day of the Sephora sale, and I bought it on Sephora because I was trying to use like credit card rewards, which would bring the price down, right? So I wasn't paying the $69 out of pocket. Well, it like got caught in shipping, and so mine's not gonna be here for a bit. Would you still be interested in that and interested in hearing my points of view and doing what I've been doing with the Makeup by Mario, where like I do a first impressions video, you see me continually use it, you see me get to know it. Is that something you'd be interested in? Because I'm almost like tempted to return it. I don't always returning it makeup, but if I don't touch it, I know from working at Sephora, if you returned like untouched makeup and they can verify that, so like if they can open the eyeshadow palette and like see that like my fingers didn't get any of them, I know they'll put it on the shelf and resell it. That's why I am asking you, and that's why I feel comfortable returning it. But I also might open it and just decide that I want it anyway. That's also a very real possibility. I might open it and see it in person and go, this is something that I'm very attracted to. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'm actually very curious to hear your opinion on that. Just like I have been doing any video I've been using this, I'm going to set it with the cream eyeshadow. That's almost exclusively what I use those cream eyeshadows for. Or sometimes, you know, when you get yourself into trouble in a look, they're like pretty nice to like get you out of a little bit of trouble. This week has been busy, and I think that's also probably a culmination as of why I'm tired. I think I might have caught the slightest of colds. It's not like COVID, but I like, or it's like seasons changing. You know, you never know what it is, because it's just like sometimes in the morning, my throat's a little bit scratchy. My throat is scratchy right now because I haven't been drinking enough water. That's my bad. I also just worked out, so my body's still like trying to regulate things in my... I'm gonna try to share something that's going on with you, but I'm gonna be vague about it because I'm not trying to psych myself out or shoot myself in the foot or make a mountain out of what could potentially just end up being a molehill. It was a busy week because I went on a date and it went really well. I think the most interesting thing about having gone on the date and talking and flirting to a new person and kind of going through those motions has been like really interesting for me. And I haven't been in many relationships, right? So I don't have a lot to go off of. And I think, well, what's been happening is I've been feeling like I've been treated pretty well by this person, which is great, right? I say pretty well. I'm trying to keep tempered feelings all around, if that makes sense, right? Just a little bit of a protecting of the heart, a little bit of a protecting of myself. What happened was I immediately started realizing that within a week, this person has managed to do some things that I like never received from the last person I dated. I'm having like this moment where like, I feel like, how could I have been so stupid not to realize that like what's happening now is like more appropriate? And like the other thing was the person I was seeing last, that lasted like half a year. And I wouldn't say that like we weren't dating, like, and that was like never really part of it, but like I was like kind of holding on to the idea that like at some point we would. And you know, that's a little bit of wrong by me, right? Like I shouldn't have assumed that. Like I agreed to like what we were doing whenever we were doing it. It's been a little bit difficult for me to process all that. In fact, like I did cry a little bit about it because I was just like, oh no, like I felt foolish for trying to believe in something that like didn't really exist. That has been like a little bit of a tough pill for me to swallow. Now that I am feeling like I'm getting the attention I deserve from this new person. And again, we only went on one date. We're going on another date tomorrow as of recording, but when you see this, we'll have already gone on our second date. It's been very fun. He is really cute and very smart and honestly very honest. And I really appreciate that. And I like that. And I like the upfrontness. I'm also well aware, maybe after a few dates, it doesn't continue. And I'm not scared of that. And I'm well aware of that. But what I am saying is that after the thing ended earlier this year, and I guess if you're a patron, you kind of have more insight to that. And I'm not saying that you have to go to my Patreon, but I've said this before on my Instagram, like patrons kind of get a little bit more insight to my life and a lot more insight to like the behind the scenes of what it's like to have a channel on YouTube at the size that I am and the growth that I'm receiving and attention I'm getting. I mean, I keep it there because I don't know that everyone wants to hear about that. Most people just want to hear about the makeup. People who invest in the channel are investing in that sort of thing, and that's my viewpoint. Anyway, I was really upset earlier this summer whenever the breakup, and I don't really know if I should really call it a breakup because what were we doing? I'm saying that because that was really how it was defined, was like, what are we doing? Like, what were we doing? It was tough. It was a little tough. But you know what was really funny is that after that breakup, the YouTube channel started doing very well, even before the collaboration with Hannah, which did push me over 2K, which thank you everyone for subscribing if you came here from that video specifically. But even before that, I was like finding some pretty good momentum actually. And it's just kind of sustained even since the Hannah video. Anyway, but that all happened like as a chain reaction. Like essentially like we broke up and then I found myself with more time. And then I was like, well, I'm just going to throw that into my YouTube channel because like that is kind of where like my passion lies. I love making videos. I love connecting and building community and building the community here. Although that this community didn't really all know what was going on with me was very helpful for me to get past it, because I was like, oh, look at how well I'm doing with this thing that I'm trying to build after the bad thing happened. And I kind of felt like whenever this started gaining momentum and I was starting doing this, and it kind of happened immediately after that thing, that like I couldn't have both. Like I felt like it was like a thing where like I couldn't have my cake and eat it too. It was like either I'm going to succeed on YouTube or I'm going to succeed in like potential romantic relationships. And in fact, the whole thing was like I was on dating apps like so passively. Pittsburgh's a pretty small city. I know that like we have the Steelers, and when you see the skyline of Pittsburgh in the background, you think, wow, what a city. Not to burst your bubble, but it's all that. And it's not that I don't love living in Pittsburgh, or I don't even like, not that I don't even like living in Pittsburgh. Having lived here in the city for 7 years and like in the surrounding parts of the city for even longer, I have found that it has like not been the place for me to try to date. I have been on like Bumble and Tinder and Hinge before. I quit Grindr relatively early into the process because I just got real depressed really fast using Grindr. So I was passively swiping. And I honestly never thought I would match with anyone. And like I match with people so rarely because I'm fairly picky. And I'm fairly picky in a way where like you can look at someone's profile and pretty much find out right away whether or not you would even potentially like jive. You know, I am 73, potentially like get on with someone. My whole thing was like, I'm not even like trying. So I matched with this person and I was like, oh, I did kind of think, I was like, he's too attractive for me and he's not going to talk with me. But he did. Sorry, I'm sweating still. This is a big problem for me. Like, I'm just always sweating. I guess I'll zoom you in. I don't know. I feel like everyone's seen all of these pop shots already, but in case you haven't, I'm gonna put some glitter primer down. I feel like I got back on the dating apps maybe, I don't know, probably like mid-August. And I did it kind of just like well, let's see what happens. And then, yeah, passively swiped. I would maybe swipe a handful of times a day. Like, I would maybe swipe 10 times and then go, I don't want to swipe anymore. Yeah, we matched on Bumble, which Bumble I have a pretty good history with. Only as far as like using Bumble BFF, I've made a very, very good friend of mine on Bumble BFF. Okay, here we go. Scrummy. Delicious. I never used the smoky quartz one with other eyeshadows. Like I've never used it to build a full look. I just kind of use it as a one and done. All right. Scrumptious. This is not my first time putting this on my eye, but I really I got it in the mail and I immediately threw it on my eye because I wasn't wearing any makeup and I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty. The only thing I'm thinking about this blue one is it's gonna serve less of a one and done purpose. I thought it was gonna have like a little more zhuzh to it to make it like more of a standalone thing, but I don't think it has the depth that I was expecting. Not that I expected it to be like deep. I just think it needs a little bit of something to like also provide some forgiveness to all of the blue. I say this every time I use a blue eyeshadow. It's like not my favorite color, but I liked the duochrome in this and I just thought it was like a pretty special shade. Now, do indie brands have shades like this? Absolutely they do. So it's not something that I think you really need to turn to Charlotte Tilbury for. I'm looking forward to giving this some wear time and watching the breakdown of it because that's like really what I like about it. And I think what I'm gonna do is go back into the taupe shade in the Mario palette and use that in the inner corner and blend it into the blue just to see what it does. We're having fun here. I mean, I think that was a stunning choice. Stunning. That's where we're gonna leave the eye look right now. I think I'm done tinkering with it. I am now gonna do something that I've never tried before, but I've heard other people do it and I was like, well, wonder how that would work. So we're gonna try it. Maybe it's just Michelle Wong who does this, but Michelle Wong once said that she sometimes uses the lit up highlighter sticks from West Atelier as a primer. Now I realize I set this down earlier, but I do feel as though my skin has sucked it all up. My skin feels like ripe enough for makeup, but I just kind of want to see what it looks like. So we're just gonna I guess put this all over the face and see what happens, because it is a really natural highlight. And I'm wondering if it'll give like an effect, something like what happens when I use the Auric Glow Lust underneath a foundation. I mean, I figure it's worth a shot, and if it doesn't work, then it's fine. It makes my skin look really slick. I'm gonna just kind of push it into the skin with a foundation brush so it's not sitting on top of it. That looks really like a vibe. Now that it's like pressed into the skin a bit, it's looking a little less sweaty and looking a little more like I did it on purpose. And I haven't used the highlight stick in a while. I normally use it for natural looks, but that Auric Glow Lust has really stolen the show in regards to how I really like to highlight my face. We matched a week before we ended up meeting up, and then yeah, the date was nice and we're going on a second date. So all I'm giving you as far as like how's that's going. But I just wanted to share like how I've been like finding these feelings. I'm like, I'm also shaking a foundation, but I was like, feelings. Feelings. Real monsters. Real feelings. I'm feeling very positive feelings toward the person that I'm going on the second date with. Feeling weirdly negative about my choices or like not seeing things retroactively. I just think that I'm learning a lot how I was treated, and I'm also learning a lot about like if I see these behaviors again from the previous person with a new person, that I need to leave. This is the Rituel de Fille 3-drop foundation. I only have 4 foundations. I only open myself up to having 4 foundations open at a time. They all get a lot of play. I do tend to use this one a little less because it's not available yet. So I just poked myself in the chin and then I just spit on the camera. I edited it out, but I just wanted to tell you, for full disclosure, that was in fact a thing that just happened. So in regards to putting this over top of the lit up highlighter stick from Westman Atelier, it does look glowier, for sure. Actually, that's a pretty combo. Also noticing that I like missed a patch of hair while shaving here earlier. I will live. That's busy. And then also if I'm gonna continue dating this new person, I was just like, oh my God, that's like, that's a time commitment. But I'm very much open and willing and ready for that time commitment. And I hope it does happen because I kind of like him. I really like him. It's fine. We can openly admit things. We can openly admit having positive feelings. This isn't new, and I use this all the time in my videos, but you all know I'm trying to use this up. But I'm hoping, should I continue seeing this person, I can get my act together in a little bit more of a real way where I am better at time management when it comes to videos. Although there will always be videos where like you buy a new thing and you want to get something up on it. Now, of course, I'm not posting full reviews as fast as I can because it's not really what we do here, right? Like I will absolutely post the first impressions as soon as I can. But oftentimes, like I'm buying like little new things. I know just from a numbers standpoint that palette reviews and palette first impressions are really what people seem to be looking for. Sometimes foundations, sometimes people really like their eyeshadow out there, and I get it. And I really do get it. Eyeshadow is not where my heart is. Now, have I bought a lot of eyeshadow products recently? Yeah, but that's only because like 2 releases happened to coincide where I was interested in them. Also, I do think that I am going to start attempting, I don't think I'm going to be very good at it, but start attempting kind of like a palette in, palette out situation. I don't know how perfect it's going to be, but I was thinking about it because I'm fairly certain I'm going to want to keep this Mario palette. I have been enjoying pulling it out. I want to give it some more time because it could be just that it's new, but I really like the formula, and like I always feel like my eye looks look really good whenever I've been using it. So it's been very nice to have to play around with. And this is the Soleil Tan Deep Bronze Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream from Chanel. I use this very often, and I don't want to try to claim that this is something I don't use very often, but I will say that I have been really showing the love a lot more to my Tom Ford bronzer because of that Sonia G brush. But you know what made me start really loving this bronzer is this Sonia G brush. So essentially what Sonia G has been doing with her brushes is just making me love all of my products more. It just happens that the new bronzing brush is just new. And that is why I am getting on with it. Like, that's why I'm feeling so excited about using the Tom Ford bronzer, which the Tom Ford bronzer isn't a new product to me. I've had it well over a year at this point, but it's just like interesting how sometimes the tool will make a difference. I'm not trying to be a snob and tell you that you need to run out and buy Sonia G brushes. You can make any brush work. And I mean that, like, because I certainly did not immediately jump into makeup and start buying Sonia G brushes. That was not my journey at all. And I don't think that should be anyone's journey when you're just starting out, because you don't know what your preferences are as far as makeup goes. And so, yeah, while you're exploring makeup, but I will tell you this, upgrading my brushes sometimes makes me feel really good about products that I was a little bit indifferent to, and like end up liking them a lot more. Like, I liked the Tom Ford bronzer, but now I love the Tom Ford bronzer with the new brush because it's just such an easy bronzer to use with the bronzing brush that I have. Anyway, and I said this in a community post, but in case you missed it, I'm going to say it again here. Critical Sass Live for November is going to be the only Critical Sass that happens this month. I normally do it every 2 weeks, but with the way that the Mario palette came and it was like more important for me to get that up, my content kind of all got shifted. So I didn't do a Critical Sass last week because I like to do them every other week. So basically what we're going to be doing at the end of the month is like catching up. I'm going to try to select only things that we would be like having a lot of things to say, like the Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows will very likely show up on that Critical Sass. But I'm also thinking it could potentially be the last Critical Sass of the year. So I'm going to link up in the cards. That's a link to set a reminder for the next Critical Sass Live. It's the last Wednesday of this month at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Would love to see you there. Just the way that the cycle goes, a lot of brands like push everything in November and then like December just kind of plays out. I mean, there might be something new released, especially indie brands probably won't follow that cycle, but I'm thinking for the most part, other brands follow that. Like, we're not going to see a lot of new releases. I might be wrong. And like I said, I might do a Critical Sass in December, but there won't be any So we are definitely doing the last Critical Sass Live of the year. It might not be the last Critical Sass of the year. So I just wanted to like point that out. It's not next week, but it's the following week. Next up, I'm going to be using the Smolder Skin Spark from Phytosurgeons. Now, here's the thing. I really like this shade, but right now it isn't summertime. So I'm just not using a lot of like warm tones. Also, I think as a trend, I just have been wearing less warm tones. And I mean, like, very basic of me, but like I really love warm tones in the summer. And not that warm tones can't be like autumnal as well. This is my favorite blush formula. I don't think I've ever used a blush that I like as much as this one. I have been, you know what? Maybe it has some things going for it, but I really love this, but it's like such a specific shade. And it's a shade that I used a lot in the summertime, but I just haven't been using this shade in a while because I've been using like Mimi and Inner Glow. It's just kind of like not been used as much. It's been a while, but that's a really nice blush. Oh, this formula is killer, killer, killer. If you don't want to spend the money on Westman Atelier or Kjaer Weis, Phytosurgeons is a beautiful formula. I'm going to do concealer because I forgot to do it. But like, I'm pretty notorious for doing that. I haven't used this in a while. I had some backups of this, but I have actually found that I haven't been enjoying the way this concealer really looks on me much anymore. It is the YSL Touche Éclat Radiant Touch. This isn't the high cover. This is the highlighting one. And I have the shade 0, which I believe they call Milk. And I've been working on this all year. And wait a minute. Am I going to pan it right now? I am. Okay, let me get the last little bit out. This is gonna just be the last time I'm using it. Oh my God. Yeah, the button's not buttoning anymore. It's not clicking. We panned it. Hey, I'm so excited. Okay, because I was just about to say, I was like, I've been working on this all year and it just simply wouldn't die. And it did. And I'm feeling can you tell? I'm feeling so pleased about that. Oh my God, I'm so excited to finally throw that away. One might think that I might want to bring in a different concealer now, but no, that's not the case. I think I'm good with concealers. Like, I came up with the limit of like 4 for foundations because I just found that was manageable, because at one point I had like 10 foundations in my drawer and I was definitely not cycling through them enough. But 4, I find myself like some days I'm in the mood for one over the other, and I try to keep different enough formulas that it's exciting to use all of them and they all feel different and look different on the skin a little bit. I mean, generally it's like a light coverage foundation with a little bit of a glow. I'm so pleased. Okay, and then for highlighter, I just haven't used this in a while, and Rituel de Fille had like a farewell sale to a couple of items. Solaris wasn't one of the shades, but Lunaris, the other one of these that I have. But Lunaris, which came out at the same time as Solaris, is one of the shades going away. And I was going to pull out Lunaris, which probably would go with the blue, but I wasn't looking to do like a super special highlight. Not that Solaris isn't special, but Lunaris sticks out a little bit more. It's a little more in your face. I don't know why everyone sleeps on these Rituel Defy highlighters. I like both formulas, but even if you don't like sparkly, these are the rare light luminizers. These ones I think you'd really dig. And they have some really unique shades. Like it has a little bit of a duochrome to it, but it's not so much of a duochrome that like it feels like crazy. They're really beautiful. I love this. I'm gonna powder, which I haven't used this powder in a minute. The Laura Mercier setting powder. I'm thinking that I might pass this one on to a friend. I'm currently working on the Pat McGrath one and I'm really trying to pan that. But I just feel like there are some new powders that I'm really interested in. The House Labs one being like the main one. People seem to really like it and I'm so intrigued. Laura Mercier is making some points right now. And I still think I'm going to use, I wasn't gonna, but I think I'm still going to use the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder. I just love it. I just love it. I am not over it. And I'm so close to hitting pan on this. This is something I've been working on all year as well. Just to hit the pan. I have a backup of one of these. So yeah, I just think I'm interested in trying a new powder. And I think that someone will gladly take the Laura Mercier off my hands. That will allow me space to try a new powder. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the House Labs one is the one that I would try. Skin's looking gorgeous. You know what I'm going to use in the waterline? I haven't used this in a while. I'm going to use Blitz Blue, the eyeliner from Pat McGrath. I also have another blue liner from Kulfi. It's the shade Rain Check, which is also a really, really good eyeliner. I just haven't used this one in a while, and I think it's just a little bit richer than Rain Check. We're blue, double D, double die. I'm gonna spray my face with Fix Plus real quick, and then we will finish off with the lips and mascara. I got my hair cut today, and maybe if you're not new here, a couple months ago I complained that I had to switch hairstylists. But I think we can keep her. She's cool. I like her. I'm going to throw on my mascara real quick. It's not an old mascara because I only have one open at a time. So this is the Tarte Tartelette tubing mascara. Let me just put this on real quick. Okay, the mascara is on. And for lipstick, I just think I haven't used this in quite some time. It's the Flesh 3 shade from Pat McGrath. This was like in limited edition packaging, but I'm pretty sure the shade is permanent. I'm going to wipe off this lip balm. I'm going to throw that on. Here's the final look. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see the skin and everything just a little closer. So since it has been a while since I touched some of these products, let me go through how I felt using them again today just to touch base. This is what I like to do in my Let's Play with makeups, especially when I'm pulling out older products and using newer products, just like check in, touch base with how I'm feeling. The Makeup by Mario palette I have found it to be an absolute delight to use. The only reason that I would hesitate saying that like I recommend it fully is that it can't do much. It's not a versatile palette. However, if you don't have a palette right now that you can throw on to wear to the office and you wanted something super, super reliable, then I think this is the way to go. And you can definitely like do some night looks with it, but like this feels very much specifically oriented to like office culture, wedding, bridal. That's like really what I'm feeling from this palette. So if that's not like your gig, then it wouldn't be for you. But if it is your gig, then I think it would be for you. Now that's not always my gig. I really don't have anything that's like, I probably, the next time I go somewhere, I might only take this. This would be like this would be all the mattes I would need for that trip. And then I would take maybe a couple single shades for pop. That is what I'm getting from this. This is what that means to me and it evokes for me. The Charlotte Tilbury Pop Shot in the shade, God, what is it called? Cosmic Rocks. It's so cool. It's so cool. And you know, it's nice to see a brand like Charlotte Tilbury do like a fun, bright duochrome, even though you and I know that like there are many, many indie brands doing stuff like this and even more crazy intense stuff. But to see it brought to the market by a luxury brand, like a duochrome like this, not that Pat McGrath isn't doing this as well. I'm just saying that it's always nice to see. It's always nice to see the creativity, to see these bright, bold colors get brought in by other brands, because it just means that there's going to be a trickle-down effect. And hopefully, because Charlotte Tilbury's doing it, brands at the drugstore, lower cost brands will also do it so that everyone has access to it. That's really what I see whenever I see like when things make it from indie so it's just like kind of like a top-down effect. So it's like the indie brands innovate, the expensive brands take their innovation and try to match it, and then there's a trickle-down effect. I'm into it. I'm excited. I'm kind of excited to like maybe wear more blue eyeshadow with that, like put on some more blue. The more I have a relationship with this, like the longer that this has been around, the more invaluable I have found this to be. This is the Thorn Oil from Rituel de Fille. I did throw it on at the beginning of the video, but it's really helpful. Even with my oily skin, I have found it to be pretty useful. If you do have oily skin and you live in a place where the climate's really dry and you find that sometimes your skin acts up because of that, or you are in a cold place now, like now we're moving into the winter time, and so your skin just gets dry and a little bit more dry than usual, you might get on with it. If you have dry skin, yeah, absolutely, I think you would like this. And if you have oily skin and you buy this, just play with the amount that you're putting on. I only use 3 drops, but they recommend 5 to 10. And 3 drops tends to be enough for me as a primer. I really like this. I continue to like this. I've been trying to figure out if I've been kind of comparing it to the Laneige Glowy Makeup Serum. I don't really think they're the same thing, but I don't think I need to have both. I'm willing to pan them both, but I think this would be the thing that I'd be more likely to repurchase. And the only reason I say that is because this has no silicones in it, and whenever you're using foundations that have no silicone in them, this just plays along with it better. So I have been finding that's more valuable than the Glowy Makeup Serum, although the Glowy Makeup Serum was the first product I used to make me more open to trying something like this. I will continue using the Glowy Makeup Serum. Don't you worry. I also forgot to talk about the Too Faced Shadow Insurance, but I kind of mentioned at the top, but I think it's pretty good. Let's rewind to the Westman Atelier lit up highlight stick as a primer or like something underneath. I liked that. I like that a lot, and I will absolutely be doing that again. And if you have this, or if you have something like this, like a very like sheer, like glossy highlighter, try it as a primer. See how it goes. See what happens. I don't know. Like, would I know how long my makeup would hold up with it as a primer? No. But even when I was it didn't like, I don't feel like it accentuated my pores at all whenever I did it. It didn't make them look smaller, but it definitely didn't make them look like much bigger. And it just like left that like sheen, and then like just, it. The Luminous Elixir 3-Drop Foundation from Rituel de Fille. Now, I have continued to enjoy this. So I was really iffy on my initial review of it, but like my relationship to this over time has like really, really grown. I've grown fond of it, and I've actually been wearing it a lot more, and I think I wear it the most off camera. Like, it's kind of the foundation. If I was like throwing on a really easy eye, this would be like what I throw on my face, like kind of like a trying to walk out the door kind of face. It'd be like this plus that. Is it my favorite foundation? No. And I'm sure if I like go on a foundation journey and I was like trying a bunch of foundations, this might not hold a candle to a lot of them, but I really like it. I'm curious if Rituel de Fille will end up releasing something like this again, or what the future holds with this lab sample. I feel like they got a lot of feedback, and I'm curious what they're gonna do with that feedback. I feel like at this point, I don't really need to say much more whenever a product looks like this. I like it. I'm a little sick of it. Doesn't mean it's bad. I'm just ready to move on from it. The Chanel bronzer. I love this bronzer, and you know what? I have actually found, if you watched my Becoming Khaki video, I pounce it on as Khaki does in the video that I was emulating, and I have found that pouncing it makes me like it a lot more. Not that I didn't like it before, but now I really like it. It's just much more soft and more subtle bronze look, and I think perhaps because I am in wintertime, we are heading into wintertime in Pittsburgh, the bronze, I don't want it as strong as I do in the summer. And I think what happened when I fell in love with the Tom Ford bronzer, doesn't have as much warmth as this one does. And so I just found it much easier to wear in the winter, but like, I'm glad we used it today, because I'm feeling good about it again. Smolder. I mean, just a beautiful little touch of the orange. Scrummy. I don't think I have to say anything more about Rituel de Fille highlighters, but they are my favorite highlighters. I really like them. I think they're really beautiful and really stunning. And you know what? Chloe of Chloe Enchanted, she just got her first Rituel de Fille highlighter, and she messaged me and she was like, Tom, I understand why you like this. And I was like, honey, it's where it's at. We panned it. Not only did we pan it, we panned it on camera. Goodbye to the YSL Touche Éclat. It just leaves me with the Armani and the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Interesting. It's the night when the 3 become 2. It doesn't work, but you're gonna let me have that win. Powder. The Laura Mercier powder, you know, she's a classic for a reason. She does the work. She puts in the work. She lets you live. She lets you live. Does she do as much as some of the other powders, like the Chantecaille Blur powder? Like, look at how much I use. Like, that... it's like the hinge on it's like it's starting to go. That's how much I use this and abuse it. And like, if I were to travel, I would take this sooner than I would take this. But I might decide to use it up. It's just that there's so much product in the Laura Mercier one that takes forever to go through, which is not a bad problem to have. Value for money on the Laura Mercier is actually really good and much better than most powders. And I don't think people really give that enough credit because it looks expensive up front, but your price per ounce is like really good on that. And Flesh 3, I should pull this out more. This is pretty. I am finding that, you know, I used to not really prep my lips whenever I would do my videos, and I would get to the lips and it would just be crusty. So really doing like the prep with a lip balm and then putting this on after I've done the rest of my face really, I think, makes this more comfortable and makes it look better. But yeah, it's a beautiful shade. Beautiful terracotta. I love a terracotta. And the mascara, I like this mascara. And you know what? I recommended it to 2 people in real life and they both reported back that they really love it. So there you go. Do with that information what you will. This look is cute. Stunning, actually. And I'm very into it. Thank you so much for playing with makeup with me today. I'm feeling more galvanized and rejuvenated after hanging out with you. So I hope you feel the same. Let me know what makeup you're using. What haven't you used in a while? What did I inspire you to pull out of the drawer? What did you inspire yourself to pull out of the drawer? What do you want to see from me? Those are all things you can leave in the comments. I love you all, and I appreciate you all so much for watching. Remember to follow your haute. I like how haute is sometimes my whole shoulder to my titty, and sometimes it's like just my heart, you know? So follow your haute. Maybe I'll do this. Haute. Because I feel like this hand feels left out, so it needs to do something. Follow your haute. Okay, haute. Follow your haute, and you will find me. I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.